When you ask ChatGPT or Claude one simple question, it sets off a chain of events most people have no idea about. Behind that simple answer are specialized chips, massive data centers, cooling systems, and a global infrastructure most users never see. All just so someone can answer what the best goulash recipe is. And yet, according to reports and industry estimates, some leading AI companies may still be spending far more than they earn, even with your subscription fee. How is that possible? Let's take a look at why artificial intelligence is one of the most expensive technologies humanity has ever built. Before an AI model can even reach you, it has to learn how to talk. This process is called training, and it's a massive computing operation. The model learns from an enormous amount of text, books, articles, websites, discussions. To pull this off, it needs thousands of specialized chips called GPUs, running non-stop for weeks, sometimes months. These chips aren't cheap. A single one can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and companies need tens of thousands of them at once. Once you add it all up, the cost becomes enormous. The chips, the electricity to run them, the cooling systems that keep them from overheating, and the teams of people managing the whole thing can push the cost of training a single large model into the tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. What's worse, this process keeps repeating. A new, better model comes out every few months, so companies have to redo this expensive process again and again just to stay competitive. Training a model needs somewhere to actually happen, and that's where data centers come in. These aren't your average office buildings. They're massive facilities built specifically to house tens of thousands of GPUs running around the clock. Building one from scratch can cost billions of dollars, and that's before a single chip is even installed. On top of the building itself, companies need industrial-grade power lines, backup generators in case of outages, and cooling systems capable of handling heat output most buildings never have to deal with. That's why tech giants aren't just buying computer chips anymore. They're buying land, signing power deals directly with energy companies, and in some cases, building entirely new facilities in remote areas just to have enough space and electricity to keep up. Okay, the model is trained, but the costs don't stop there. That's actually where they really begin. Every question you ask AI is called inference. The model has to run through billions of parameters to generate an answer, and that takes energy. Some estimates suggest that a query to a large AI model can use many times more energy than a traditional web search. That sounds tiny, until you realize there are billions of these questions every single day. At massive scale, AI data centers can become a serious load on electrical grids. That is why big tech companies are signing huge energy deals and investing in new power sources, including renewables, nuclear projects, and gas-backed infrastructure. Generating text is expensive, but generating images and videos takes it to a whole new level. Producing a single AI image can require significantly more computing power than answering a text question. And video is even more demanding, since it means generating dozens of consistent images every single second. That's why AI video tools are often far more limited or expensive than chatbots. A few seconds of AI-generated video can require as much computing power as thousands of text responses combined. As these tools become more popular, the electricity and hardware costs behind them are growing just as fast. Here's the most surprising part. You'd think that if you're paying $20 a month, the company is making money off you. But the reality is more complicated. The costs of GPU chips, electricity, data centers, and development are so high that some major AI companies are believed to operate at a loss while they grow. What you pay covers only a fraction of what your usage actually costs.
So why do they do it? Because we're in the middle of a race. Companies are willing to lose money temporarily to grab as many users, as much data, and as dominant a market position as possible, betting that once the technology gets cheaper and more efficient, that investment will pay off. It's a similar strategy to what companies like Uber or Amazon once used. Burn cash for years in order to become irreplaceable later. If you've ever used a free AI chatbot and wondered how that's even possible, it isn't really. Someone is always paying for it. Sometimes it's investors, pouring in billions of dollars betting the company will dominate the market later. Sometimes it's advertisers or business customers paying premium prices, which helps subsidize free access for everyone else. And sometimes companies simply absorb the loss for now, treating it as the cost of getting as many people as possible using their product. So, free doesn't mean it costs nothing. It just means someone else is footing the bill, at least for now. The good news is AI is already getting cheaper, surprisingly fast. Newer models can do the same work for a fraction of the original cost, thanks to better chips, more efficient algorithms, and techniques that cut down the amount of computation needed per answer. The bad news is demand is growing even faster than efficiency. The cheaper and more accessible AI gets, the more people and companies use it, so companies' total costs keep rising even as the price per query drops. It's a bit of a paradox. The technology gets cheaper per unit, but overall it costs more and more because we're using it far more intensely. So next time you ask AI a question and the answer arrives in 2 seconds, try picturing everything happening behind the scenes. Behind that answer are thousands of chips, huge amounts of electricity, and companies spending enormous amounts of money to deliver it for free, or for just a few dollars a month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.